Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on MentalShift today. If you're wondering who in the world is the lady in red, my name is Michelle Moroz. I'm the host of MentalShift. And who am I? What do I do? Well, I'm an international speaker and I travel the world. And through my travels, I've run into the most amazing people. And everyone has a story and why they do what they do. And then they have this crazy shift in their life and something major happens. And then they do, oh, you know what? I'm going to do this instead because this is what I learned. And that's where MentalShift came about. It's because I've noticed that everyone has had some sort of shift in their life. May it be small, sometimes big, and sometimes they don't even realize they're in the mental shift. And I like to bring that to the world. I also have a couple of books authored, and what else do I do? Oh yeah, I train speakers to speak, and I'm a trainer of communication. And so it all kind of goes together: the story, the communication, the bringing it to life, and it all kind of accumulates on MentalShift, the podcast. So thank you for joining us. And if you love love what you hear and what you're seeing, if you're on the video side, on the YouTube side, or if you're listening and you're in the Audible side, share it, because what you're about to hear tonight or today or whatever time it is for you right now is quite crucial. Everyone in your life, anyone in your life, anyone you've ever met needs a guide somewhere, sometime in their life. They need a coach. And I met a very nice woman. She was giving a presentation at a group called 1 Million Cups. And I went, I got to know you, because she has that kind of energy and you'll hear it. She's just joyful, full of life, and brilliant, honestly. And she started something called Karma Koaches. And I want you to write this down because she's broken a rule of mine. So it's Karma, so karma, and then coaches with a K, KOACHES.com, karmakoaches.com. And that's my rule. I don't like misspelling words. It messes my brain up, but it's very catchy, but you can find it. And what it is, it's a coaching on demand platform. And so today we'll talk to this lady about what brought her to this juxtaposition in her life and said, you know what, I need to establish a coaching on demand platform where other people can get coaching services on the fly, pick up their phone and, hey, I need help. And what brought her to that? So please welcome, everyone, my friend, Michaela Smith.
Hi, thank you so much for that introduction. That was lovely.
You're like, who is that lady she's talking about? Oh, wait.
Yeah, is that me? What?
But the thing is I saw you at 1 Million Cups. You gave that presentation about Karma Koaches. And I said, how can I help? How can I be a part of that? Because people do need coaching and they don't realize it until they're in the mix. And they do, oh, and by then it's kind of late. But what you've done with the Karma Koaches is you've put a platform where they can build a relationship with someone virtually. How convenient in a pandemic that you made something that can be completely virtual. So, Michaela.
Yes.
I'm going to go backwards.
Okay.
Karma Koaches is very new. Okay, so it's under a year old, right?
Yeah, so we're actually 9 months old at this particular moment. So
I was born.
Yes, exciting. Oh my goodness.
What brought you to this? I mean, what did you do in the past?
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened? So I want your story, a little bit of your story. What were you doing in the past? What happened that made you shift what you were doing to create Karma Koaches?
Yeah, so I really appreciate that question for sure. So previously I owned a pet sitting and dog walking company. And so, I guess to give you a little background for me, like who I am as a person too, that might kind of help to get an understanding as to why in the world did I want to become an entrepreneur and what does that actually look like. So I'm actually a 3rd generation entrepreneur. And so within that, for myself, my grandfathers both were entrepreneurs. My parents are both entrepreneurs. And so then it was just like, well, maybe I should become an entrepreneur.
Might as well.
Yeah, may as well just fall into it. And so, but within that, I was never like super good in school. And so school was not my thing. Academics were not my thing. And so I tried it, obviously, and like tried to do what I was told. And it just, like in school, I could not follow directions if I tried sometimes. And so, and I'd frustrate teachers so much because I always had so many questions. And so like I was always asking why. Like, why does that work the way that it does? Why are you asking me that type of question? And so it would frustrate teachers like so badly. And so, which ultimately, like as an entrepreneur, that is like a really amazing asset to have, to be able to consistently ask, why am I operating things this way? Why am I doing it like this? Because in operations and things like that, it's hard to figure out all those different pieces, and it's important to constantly ask why. And so within that, I was in college, and I was going through that space, and I think a lot of people probably go through a space of trying to figure themselves out, and like as to like, who are they, what does that look like? And so I was going through all of that, and so I thought, well, I want to start a business, but I'm not sure like what kind of business I want to start. And so I called my dad and I said, I want to start a business. Should I register an LLC? Because that's like the biggest thing whenever you start a business, is you have to register an LLC with the state. It's very important. And for me, I like to make things official. And so being official is very, very important, apparently. And so I created that, and then I had to figure out what it was that I actually wanted to offer, like service-wise, because I had some ideas, but I didn't really know exactly what I was going to do. And so I started a business, and I called it the Octopus Woman. And within the Octopus Woman, I had babysitting and house cleaning and pet sitting and all kinds of things within the business. And so
arms, okay.
Yeah, multiple arms. And so multiple services with multiple arms. And so from there, then I decided, well, my I was having a lot of health stuff at that particular point too. And so I would go to school, I would work, and then I would go home. And that was pretty much it. That was like my life. And so then, the health journey has for sure been a journey for me since then. And so I then figured out that I didn't really like house cleaning, and I didn't really like the babysitting space. And so I decided to just stick to pet sitting and dog walking, and completely transitioned the company into Pitter Pattering Paws. And this was at the end of college, is whenever I decided to do that. So I'm pretty sure I like graduated school, and or graduated college whenever I had figured out, oh, let me just change the brand and do it that way. And so then I had staff, and I had learned about hiring people and letting people go and trying to figure out all that. And it was always a challenge. And it was always a challenge to try and figure out operations and make sure that everybody was super happy, because that was my goal. Clients happy, dogs happy, and people that worked for me to be happy. So between those three, it was a lot of happiness as a goal. And so then I was about 26, and I was taking care of these 3 dogs, and they were super cute, super fun. And I had gone to volunteer at this event. It was outside. I was out there for a little bit, came back to the house, wasn't feeling well at all. Mm-hmm. And in the process of this, ultimately I had a couple seizures. And so whenever life transitions, and whenever things transition, sometimes they come out of the blue, and other times it was necessary for me. One of the things that hindsight's always 20/20, and standing in today, looking back at where my frustrations were, where I wasn't fully happy, where I wasn't fully expressed, some of that was I needed to have that so that my entire life could pivot.
Yeah.
And so I had that experience. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody, believe me. But through that, what came out of that was like the biggest gift that I could have possibly have gotten, which was to understand myself at a deeper level, to be able to understand how I want to connect to people, and also understand how I want to love too. And so once I got like on the other side of that, then my parents actually ran my business while I was in the healing space for about 3 months or so. And
strokes?
After the seizures, actually. And so once I gotten past that, then things really got interesting. And the reason why it got interesting was because I was trying to figure out what direction I actually wanted to go in and like what that actually looked like. And because I didn't know if I wanted to let go of the business or if I wanted to hold on to it. And so I had basically 2 options, or 3. I could sell the business, I could let it go, like just to let all the clients go, or I could keep going in the business. And so within those 3 choices, life is super interesting to me, especially whenever I was in that space, because it was like an on switch, off switch, on switch, off switch. And the on switch was, I want to sell the business. The off switch was, I want to just let it go and not do anything with it. I didn't really want to stay in the business, but I just didn't know what to do. And so then I ultimately sold the business, actually. And so November 3rd of 2018, I sold the business. And then that's whenever the real journey started. And for me, the real journey was around transformation. And like, what did that actually look like? Because I had built something for the last 9 years where my life and who I was had completely been in the business. And like how I defined myself was in the business. So in November, I had like all kinds of interesting things, some people that showed up in my life that really caused me to go, I wonder what's really going on here. And and then by like January timeframe, I started looking at, well, what was it that I actually wanted to do? Like what would that actually look like? And so the coaching platform started kind of the idea started percolating like after I'd sold the business, but it really started to hit in January. And it was based on all kinds of things that I was throwing myself into and doing, and like, yeah, sure, let's do this. And it was all transformation programs and coaching programs and connecting to people and really creating my life based on what it was that I wanted and loved. And so once I got to the other side, then I was able to, and last summer, I was going, it's time to do this coaching platform. And I know that it is. And the basis of the coaching platform is to touch, move, and inspire as many people as possible on the planet. And so through that, what we're doing is we're empowering coaches to connect to other coaches, and then coaches to ultimately connect to clients too. And so, because transformation doesn't happen just based on one human being, it happens with others and it happens together. And so we launched our MVP last August. And so with that, what we did is I just thought version 1, we got to just figure it out. Got to see if we can even make it. And as usual, there's always people who are like, no, that's not going to work. And it's always like, okay, watch me. Let's do it.
When they say it's not going to work, it's going to work. You're
right. Yeah.
Telling me what I can't do so I can keep doing more.
Exactly. And so through that, we were able to do that. And, I was going to networking events. I was connecting to all kinds of people, doing speaking engagements, all of that. And so it was really fun to be able to just connect to people, because I hadn't connected to people at this level in a while since, basically since a few years before. And so my life had completely transitioned so much that it was almost like a completely different world again, where it's like, whoa, my world has totally shifted, and I connect in a different way than what I used to. And I have a totally different perspective on how my life works or doesn't work. And I want to create this. And so through that, that's where, I've gotten connected with all kinds of coaches around the country, and they're all amazing. That's the coolest piece. And they all inspire me, and they all, like, I don't know, I just sit over here and go, wow, this is so cool. And so we launched version 2 of Karma Koaches in March, and which was like
2020. Okay.
Yeah, March 2020. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. And so within that, one of the pieces that I saw was like, there's timing for everything, and then there's like, I scratch my head on my timing. In March, I was scratching my head on my timing because of the pandemic and some of the things that were coming down the pike and all of that. And I was looking at this going, this is not at all what I expected, like at all.
But it's better.
And we're here. And people are wanting to be inspired, and people are wanting to create connection, and people are wanting to heal, and they're wanting to be coached. And yes, there's this incredible shift underneath all of this, and like, to be able to cause that or create that for people, it's important, I believe, that we support each other in our own mental health in some capacity or some form. And within that, that's where Karma Koaches is able to support people. Exactly. And like right now, we're like we're getting up there. We're climbing the mountain right now in where our mental health is, because sadly there's so many people seeing what how our mental health is being affected through this, and I can see it, and now there's starting to be articles. I saw one yesterday where people are finally starting to talk about, what does mental health look like during a pandemic, and what does that look like, and how is that affecting people. And I've talked to my family multiple times about this. I told them a couple months ago, just wait and see as to what's going to happen. So it's been an amazing journey, and I'm sure it'll keep on being an amazing journey, because that's how life is.
Roller coaster. And one of the things I wanted to add is, there's a quote that came into my mind when you were talking about how that transformational part of your life happened. Everything shifted and everything moved, and you were looking and searching. Is adversity introduces a person to themselves.
Yes.
It just does. And so if you're experiencing some sort of adverse event in your life, and many of us are right now, now's the time to be looking at, what's the shift? What is your life gearing into or out of? And I see it as a car or a bicycle. If you're riding around and you hear that, if you're on a bike, your chain's stuck, something's moving, you need to shift. Or in life, in a car, basically, that gear shift means it needs oil, it needs something, either move out of that gear and move. Life right now is a giant grinder, and it's saying shift. And to each one of us on this planet, it's either shift up, shift down, put neutral, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now's the time to shift, to transform. And that's why I thought, your Karma Koaches is actually perfectly timed, because in the world where we're all looking to meet and talk and do all this, now it's all virtual. Your Karma Koaches platform, karmakoaches.com, both Karma and Coaches are with a K, karmakoaches.com is virtual. And so you can get on that platform, look at the different coaches, tap into one of the coaches or whoever clicks on you, and you say, you know what, I like that person, I like that bio, I want to know more about them, how can they help me? Reach out to them through the platform, and then that way you can start a relationship and start talking and do, you know what, I need you. I need this guidance right now through this time because my gears are shifting really loudly. I need help. Because what a coach is the coach is the oil in that shift. The coach is the one who's the oil that stops that shift from hurting so much. It stops the grind because a coach will come in and say, okay, you've got this. Okay, let's look at what's in your toolbox now. Okay, well, you've got all the tools inside of you right now to accomplish what you need. Now let's see which one you need. It's
Mm-hmm.
oil. Coaches, we are the oil in life's shifts.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, I gotta write that down.
It's great.
I'm gonna write that down.
Well, I think there's also this other piece that I consistently think about myself, which is as a coach, we have the opportunity to move things forward, and that personally is an opportunity as a coach to create that, because and I want to create this distinction between the difference between a coach and a therapist, and because a coach is all about being able to have this moment forward as to where are you at now, like what does your life look like now, and how can I help and support in asking questions to be able to create whatever it is that they want in their future, like whatever that looks like. What is it that I can support you in to get you into what it is that you want? And but then what a therapist typically deals with is this point from the past.
Yeah.
And helps with all of those stories and helps you work through those stories. And so to really create that distinction for people, I think it's super important that people are able to see the difference between what a therapist is and what a coach is, because sometimes there's a perception or a thought process behind it being very much so the same, and it's not.
No.
It's very, very, very different.
Yeah, and as a coach myself, I'm looking at your future. I see you and I see your future. I see the potential in you. Every once in a while, I'll dip to your past, but I'm not a therapist. I'm not licensed. I'm not there to work you through that. You can work through that. But what I do is, what are you? Who are you as a human now? And what do you have in your toolbox to get to your next point and beyond? But yeah, many people will come to a coach and say, you know, when I was 7, this happened to me. And they get comfortable and they start talking like, I'm not licensed for that. I'm not licensed to look into your past like that. But, you know, maybe you should go work with this other kind of, you know, a therapist on this part.
Yeah.
And then come to me as you're working through so I can help you keep looking forward from this point on. And yeah, I'm so glad you were the first person I've ever met who actually defined the differences between a coach and a therapist. And I'm a coach.
Oh, that's funny. I love it.
You defined it quite well. I'm like, hey, she's right. Instead of me just saying, no, I don't do therapy. Now I have, well, therapists work in the past. I work and in my head, I've got Michaela's voice in me. I'm like, yeah, because I'm going to own that. But I'm glad you had your transformation. And yes, and transformation hurts. It's usually not pretty, but it brings us to who we really are and what brings us true passion and what really gives us our love for what we really, really want to do, the give back we want to do, whatever it is. Everyone's different, right? But you wanted to give back and you were caring for animals, caring. Well, now you can care on a platform that reaches far beyond you alone. And that's what is so magical about Karma Koaches. You created a platform where many people are on it. Many people are giving assistance. You become the octopus girl again.
I'm the octopus woman.
The octopus woman with multiple arms through the coaching world, that all the different types of coaching. And you are allowing people to come into Karma Coaches, and you are still helping them connect. And yeah, you're the octopus woman. And right back, just another version of octopus. That's cool.
Well, thank you.
That means you were right the first time. You just weren't quite right. So you had to get a little bit of adjustment until you figured out, oh, wait, no, not animals, humans. Okay.
I think one of the coolest pieces on this journey for me and transformation has been getting clarity around what does it look like to be fully present, and what does it also look like to not be in that run circle.
A hamster.
Yeah, exactly. And what I found is that for myself is that the majority of my life I've spent running, and running from myself, running from others, running from situations, running from my own physical health. I mean, just like everything. And it's really interesting to see what the possibility or what could be created out of not running. Like, what does that actually look like? And in that question, or in that space of curiosity, I don't have an answer per se, in the context of like, because I have bits and pieces of my life where I can be like, oh, I wasn't running there. Oh, I was fully present in that moment. Oh, like I was able to fully connect to this person, and like whatever that looks like for me. But like, as an entrepreneur, there's been times where I've seen where it's like I get into that run and I get into that space of creating and like, oh, let's create everything all at the same time.
Throw up on everybody.
Exactly. Then we're gonna throw up this and throw up that and throw up this, and it doesn't support anything, and it doesn't create anything that's really powerful to actually be able to stand in who I actually am in the context of who I am right now. Because who I was even 3 days ago is a totally different person from who I am right now. And so, and it's not, for me, it's never felt like a going back to. It's always just okay, this is who I am now. And so now that I'm here, what does it look like to create from that space and be able to grow and expand from where I am here?
It's powerful. Get quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Be still. And you'll find so many amazing things about yourself or where you need to go. It's in the noise that we get lost. It's in the quiet spots that we find ourselves. And I don't want to go into a whole nother subject because I was going to go into mine, but the whole thing is my biggest growth moments have been when, let's say, my health challenges where I've been pulled back and had to stop.
Mm-hmm.
In that stopped moment was a lot of planning, so that when I came out of it, I shot out like a gun, just with so many ideas that I've been holding in and wondering what I was going to do. I just formulated it and was ready. So when you're in your quiet time, when you are stopped, and the world is kind of stopped right now, we've been paused. Now is the time to plan. Now is the time to figure out what's next, so that when they lift the gates and say, okay, let's go outside, we're ready to play. So what do you want to do? So, Michaela, what words of wisdom would you like to leave with the audience? Because I'm going to tell them, go to karmakoaches.com. If you're looking for someone to guide you through your shift, you need some oil in those gears, go to Karma Koaches, both with a K, karmakoaches.com, and find yourself someone who can be your guide. So any words of wisdom, ma'am?
Any words of wisdom? Oh my goodness. Once I'm put on the spot, it's like all of a sudden my brain goes, nope. I think that the biggest piece that I would like to leave people with is the fact that you're okay. Like, there's nothing to do, like, right this second. There's nowhere to go right this second. Just be. Like, just be in the moment. And just be present to, like, what reality actually looks like. and how your physical body feels, and how, like, what your life looks like, and just look around and just see what's there. Because every time I do that, every time I pause, every time I just remind myself that there's nowhere to go, nothing to do, just to be, then I can look around and go, wow, I have clothes. Wow, I have health. Wow, I have people that I love. And wow, my physical being feels uncomfortable in one spot. Okay. And just being present to that, and just like be fully present to what the reality is, and then go, okay, now what do I want to do?
Exactly. And as I love to say, it's live full, share love, be the best version of you. Thank you for joining us on Mental Shift. And look up Michaela, or just go to Karma Koaches, because that's really her platform. That's how you can find her. And if you need a guide, Karma Koaches, go there. It's a great place to start. You can make a relationship and have a full out coach at the end. You can basically, you're testing different coaches if you really want to, because there's multiple on the platform. So be the best version of you. Thank you for joining us on Mental Shift. And if you like what you hear and you want to connect more, you know someone who needs to hear this, share this post, share this audio, this podcast, or share the YouTube page. Connect, subscribe. Be the best version of you. And until next time, thank you, Michaela, for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a great day, everybody.